What is going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People podcast. If you can't tell, number one, we're fashionably late. Sorry. I ran into some traffic. Hopefully everybody's okay. It's a nasty little 3-car pileup that looked weird. We're talking before the show about a bunch of random stuff, and I found this brand thing. I don't know. I'm not a real producer. I pretend to be one. And this is kind of cool. I like this. Shout out to Adam and Kyle for all the work that they've done to create this stuff. We can finally see the Vikings logo on our show.
There it is.
12 years into it. Awesome.
Yeah. If you guys in the chat really hate this layout, just let us know. We can change it back.
Remember that one time that guy told me I was unprofessional and I should change my background?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I will never forget that. That's the funniest thing anyone's ever said to me on this channel. And maybe we'll find that now. Maybe someone will tell me this sucks.
This is like an ESPN podcast or something, you know?
Yeah. So before we get recording, I just pulled up ESPN, and this is football related. Listen to this headline. Piece of metal falls from roof of Cowboys Stadium.
It did. It almost hit the sideline announcer, too.
Holy shit.
That's a lawsuit. Good Lord. Oh,
that's state of the franchise for the Dallas Cowboys right now. Just the roof falling in.
Hey, at least someone wins there, though, at that stadium.
Can we not talk about that fight?
I didn't.
Well, you know what's funny? I just saw it, and NFL New York people, whoever flex games, take that dog shit Tommy DeVito Cooper Rush game that's about to happen next week and get it away from everyone.
Is that on Thanksgiving?
I don't know.
Is that
look? I said the meme, but it's a 4:25 game, and it has no business being there at all.
Is it America's game? Because if so, that's hilarious.
It's a Thanksgiving day. It's a Thanksgiving game. Yep, it sure is. So put that one on at the very beginning when everyone's eating, because it's awful. It's just everything about that is awful. Oh, I hate it so much. But you know what I don't hate? I don't hate that the Vikings are 8-2. Now, if you watch this game, they played the Tennessee Titans in Nashville. Probably a little mixed feelings. I don't like the fact that the secondary looked bad and Will Levis looked competent. Seems to always happen with the Vikings, right? Average to below average quarterbacks look real competent, but there was quite a few standouts from this game in the positive direction. First one, Sam Darnold did not see a lot of ghosts like he had the past 2 games, which was nice. There was a turnover early, but a little miscommunication on a handoff. But overall, he had the highest offensive grade this game. Not too bad. Congratulations, Sam Darnold. But
that's interesting because I was just looking at his overall QBR. His overall QBR 65.5 for Sam Darnold.
Not great.
20 of 32, 246, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He had a better day than Will Levis. Will Levis was getting beat up.
That's a low bar.
Yeah.
Trying to clear.
Levis had some moments in this game where he actually looked quite good. I mean, he made a couple of passes that were dimes.
Yeah, that was very frustrating. Calvin Ridley he's the man. Byron Murphy and Stephon Gilmore were having a time containing him. Overall, that was I don't want to go backwards. I'll give my donkey out when we're supposed to, but the overall sense of the game, the Vikings, I don't say they played down. They did win by double digits, but could have been a little better. But man, this defense is stout. Only 1 touchdown for Will Levis. They only had 1 passing touchdown. So that would mean 2 field goals and a touchdown. To keep holding these teams to 13, 10, 7 points, I mean, that's a mark of a good team. This team's definitely going to the playoffs, but until they can do what Detroit is doing, Detroit mollywopped the Jaguars.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was bad.
Until the Vikings can prove to do that, I said it in our chat yesterday, and I'll stand by it. I don't want this to be correct, but I think this is a one-and-done, wild card bounced team, just like 2 years ago. They've got to be better offensively and defensively. That front 7 is not getting enough shine because the secondary is it's pretty mediocre at times, and it's frustrating because there's good players back there.
Well, Minnesota's got a lot of old men in the secondary.
It's true. One of them, I heard the announcers, and I didn't know these announcers in this game, but they said Canton bound Harrison Smith, and that's the first I've heard anyone say that on a nationally televised game of any sort, giving him any love like that, saying, no, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He gets some love from time to time, hey.
And they didn't even say possible or, maybe future Hall of Famer. They said he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, which, I mean, I'm not sure I 100% agree that he'll get voted in, but I think he has a resume aside from, a Super Bowl win.
Right. That's what's going to hold him back from getting in, guaranteed, but the numbers are there. The longevity's there. And I think we all agree, I've used the Colin Cowherd scale of take the best and worst year out. What does the mean tell you, the average? He's played at a high level his entire career.
I was going to say, has Harrison Smith ever had a bad year?
I'd love to really crunch the numbers on what is statistically his worst season. But he's been the consistency and the high level of play that you want. And to do it in today's NFL, to stay on one team and just to consistently play, it's very rare. So I think he'll get some looks, but I don't know if he'll actually get voted in. That's the question.
He has had some quieter seasons for Minnesota, but he's always bounced back, and you can always kind of attribute it to he had a bad defensive coordinator and how he was used in the scheme was not playing up to his strengths. So you take a look at who was the coordinator before Flores got here, Ed Donatel. Okay. No. So that was a down year for Harrison Smith.
Yep.
Okay. Wasn't a good defense, wasn't used correctly. Brian Flores comes in, and hey, look who's back to playing at a high level for the Minnesota Vikings. It's Harrison Smith.
I'm going to pull up his career stats and look it up. Speaking of, I want to tie this into your point, Kyle, because it is funny. It's not, but it is. Daniel Jones just got benched. We talked about Tommy DeVito coming in. So I think Daniel Jones personally owes an apology to New York and a thank you to the city of Minneapolis. And specifically, instead of saying to whom it may concern, dear Ed Donatel, thank you for providing my family with generations of hush/fuck you money, getting me paid for that playoff game that fooled the entire city of New York for at least a season. And thank you for blah, 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 whatever. My point being, thank you, Ed Donatel, for getting one of the most overrated quarterbacks of my entire life paid. I think he got $80 million of that guaranteed. $80 million he got paid for one win. And I will never I'll get Alzheimer's next week and I won't forget this freaking stat. He had 15 passing touchdowns that regular season, and they played 17 games. 15! 2022, where everyone's throwing for 4,000 yards. Don't give me that bullshit either. Well, look at his rushing. I don't give a shit about running quarterback.
And the real winner of that whole situation was Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it is true. That is very true. That's the sweet irony and sweet joke that came back around because they chose to pay the quarterback instead of the running back who's having a career year. Mind you, did I share that meme in our chat? Oh, yeah, the MVP. Jalen Hurts is robbing MVP seasons away from Saquon Barkley. I counted 6 touchdowns on that meme alone that should have went to Saquon because he has the same numbers as Derrick Henry, and he's in my opinion, probably the number one non-quarterback right now to get MVP votes. Saquon Barkley would be 6 touchdowns richer if they didn't steal that away from him. But yeah, Daniel Jones, I'm sorry, but I'm happy that you got paid. I secretly hate you so much because you went to Duke, and that's like our arch rival for my college team. But I don't understand the hype. And everyone was like, we just got to get him some weapons. How'd that work out this year? He's terrible. I don't understand.
Do you think they'll go for Sam Darnold in the offseason?
Oh, that would be so funny. Man, I wonder what he's going to do, depending on what happens with Minnesota.
They're already setting the narrative in San Francisco for Brock
since we are talking about weird quarterback situations, though, I want to jump right in this and be like, okay, so Aaron Rodgers says he wants to come back to the Jets in 2025.
Yeah.
Should the Jets want him back?
No.
The only reason I would say no, and I get it, it's a bad year for him. They look discombobulated. The only reason I say no is the money. Yeah, you could go with a cheaper route, but if you don't keep him, you're paying him like $40 to $50 million regardless. So you might as well have him on the team. And if he looks like shit 4 or 5 games in, you could say, hey, look, we're sorry. We're going to try something different because we can't do 2 years of this. Basically 3 now because you missed the first year. But if you're already guaranteeing him, I'm maybe I'm just wrong, and this is why I'm not a GM. I could not swallow saying, no, just have $50 million because we like you. No, get your ass out here and work. Like,
But I mean, he doesn't show up to off-season activities.
That's his
and
problem.
training
That's
camp,
totally on
and,
him. You're right,
like,
Kyle. That's totally on him.
I don't think he's a good locker room leader at this
Yeah.
point. I think if you're the Jets, you just have to eat your losses, clear out that house. You know they're going to be clearing house this
At
offseason.
this point in his career, does he have any trade value whatsoever?
I don't think so.
If
Everyone
you
wants to
were-
go with a cheaper option, and you got to look at like this.
And it hurts to
this
say
year,
this about Aaron Rodgers because he is a future Hall of Famer,
100%.
probably first ballot.
First ballot easily. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever played. He's having a shit year, and I do think, Kyle, to your point, Kyle, I think part of it is the Favre quality in him. Is Favre said 2 things when he retired. He's like, I can still throw the ball. That's not the problem. He's like, I don't want to get hit, and I don't want to come to training camp. Well, guess what, brother? You're going to have to do both of those if you want to play quarterback at a high level. Like, you have to do both of them. I think if he could swallow his pride and just say, hey, for 9 months, I'm going to go back to being, 24 years old. I'm going to let the coach do his job. I'm going to let the coordinator, the GM, they're going to do everything they need. And if Devontae would bring it back, just say, hey, I'm just going to play quarterback and I'm going to fully invest. But I don't think he's been invested in football
I don't think he's
for the last 2 seasons. I think last year he was half out, and the year before in Green Bay wasn't very good. He was kind of half out too. And I know the year before was the MVP year, but pretty much since the COVID thing happened, he's been kind of like, a little more out there, a little more opinionated. I'm the thing, like, I'm not just going to give you $45 million to be like, well, thanks for the memories. No, if you're still here, come play and try, because I don't know.
Are they going to try to have him mentor like Sanders or something like that?
I don't think Dion would let him go there. He's already publicly said he will privately interfere with that and be like, no. There's no way yet. Andrew says, I'd love to see Rodgers as a backup. There's no chance he would let that happen. Unless he starts the season next year and, I don't know, they say, hey, look, 6 games in, we're 1-5. Like, this whole chapter of you didn't work. But here's my last 2 stints on Rodgers. They're not getting completely blown out this year. There's not a lot of good communication. Obviously, I think we all agree they fired the best coach, which was stupid. We probably should have gotten rid of either the DC or the OC, which they ended up getting rid of the OC anyways, and kept Robert Saleh at least for the season. But yeah, if he can just commit, like fully be all in, to use the Jerry Jones quote, for 1 more year, and tell them in the offseason, hey, I told you I wanted to come back. If he will verbally and actually look at, hey, this is my final season in the National Football League, so let's go out with a bang. Maybe it'll be a refresher. I don't know. I know Jets fans are probably like, we don't care. This is our life regardless.
And this doesn't look like the Aaron Rodgers that is out there having fun playing football. I don't see that guy at all anymore.
Did you guys watch the Joe Burrow press conference after last night's loss to the Chargers? No. That's what I feel with the Bengals, the Jets, who keeps losing. I don't know, all the non-playoff teams right now. You just see they're deflated and defeated, and they still have like 8 games left. It sucks.
Yeah.
Because this is not like the Green Bay year where he's like, relax, and then they went on a run. Like, there's no fucking chance that the Jets go on a run.
There's
no chance.
There is no relaxed press conference coming for the Jets. There's no turnaround.
Which is sad because Tyler Conklin is there. Shout out to Conk because he was an awesome Viking when he was here. Breece Hall is a good running back.
I love
I
Breece
like Breece Hall. Devontae Adams is still worth something.
If the Jets do a fire sale, we can get Breece Hall in Minnesota. What do we got to do to make that happen? Hey, that solves the problem for us.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Keep Cam Akers, though. Shout out Cam Akers. I like him a lot. I
Sauce,
forgot Garrett Wilson's there. Sauce is there.
Sauce Gardner, like they've got talent, man.
They do, man. I think it's got to be coaching and obviously the leadership there. Like, you got to be committed. I just don't see the commitment, like you said, but it's hard, man. I get so nostalgic because you could just have that one Favre year where he's like, all right, I'm just going to go all in. And then he has that 2009 Brett Favre season. And you're like, I know you can still play football. I watched him during training camp, a lot of highlights. Like, he can still throw the football great. I don't know what they're doing, if they're not drawing up the right schemes or what, because they did some patchwork on the offensive line, but that's about as much Jets coverage as you're going to get for 3 years from this podcast.
Yeah.
Back to the gutter to you go. All right. I pulled up Harrison Smith's stats. I want to get to the game, though. Let's do our game balls and donkeys. You guys go first.
I should have prepared better. Adam, you want to go first?
I will steal the not so obvious but kind of obvious one. I don't know what Pat Jones is doing different this year, but in a limited role, he is coming in and just having an amazing season as a rotational defensive, pass rusher. And he was second on the team in tackles. He had 2 sacks. He hit the quarterback 5 times, and team leading 5 times, game leading 5 times. I mean, this guy, he wants it. And I got to admit, when I was first putting my roster together for the 53, I didn't know if he was going to make it. And now he's coming out and he is showing that he might be ready for a bigger role. And Minnesota's got 3 guys in front of him that you can't really take time from. So this is a great problem to have.
It's a great game ball, Adam. He's having that first Daniil Hunter kind of year. He's not starting, but when he's in there, he is wrecking.
And I was so worried coming into the season that Minnesota would not be able to create that pass rush that they had in the past. And yet they are finding ways to get that with multiple guys in different ways. And I'm absolutely loving it here.
I'm dying. Shout out to my buddy David from back home. It's a game ball to the refs for once. We're going to talk about this. We're definitely going to talk about the officiating in this game. The first Vikings game where I just started having the game's background noise. Nothing exciting and disappointing gameplay. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I didn't get worked up in this game at all. I said like once or twice. I think the Naylor drop. I was like, what are we doing? Burrow in purple. I mean, that's a fever dream, but sure. You won't be able to pay guys like Justin Jefferson like that, but Burrow over Mahomes. I would never take anybody over Mahomes. This one's a good one. Game ball, Addison, Donkey Metellus. That's fair. Jake? Kyle, who's your
game ball? Has there been an update on Addison? Did he return to the game after he left? I have not heard anything.
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't know he left the game. I didn't notice.
Yeah, that's why Jalen Naylor was in there so much.
Oh, that makes sense. Game ball to game, can pile on Naylor for the donkey. I got to go look through these real quick to get my donkey ready, but Kyle, who's your game ball?
I can go for my game ball. I think Blake Cashman is real nice to have back in the lineup for the Vikings. Yep. He's a difference maker when he's out there on the team. Like you can notice him even if it doesn't always 100% show up in the stats. He was a good, quiet kind of off-season signing for the Vikings. Nice to have him back and healthy and out there on the team for this Minnesota Vikings defense.
Yeah, like I said last week, the team just looks different when Blake Cashman is out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the way him and Pace play together or what it is, but when he is out there, that defense feels a lot more organized and ready to deal with what's happening up the gut, because we saw Minnesota really contain the middle of that defense pretty well on Sunday.
I'm going to do the thing Adam hates. I'm going to pick a group because yesterday they were pretty bad all around. The secondary they ran away, no pun intended, with this game.
You're giving your game ball to the secondary?
I'm sorry. I'm doing the donkey. Excuse me. I'm looking for the donkey right now. I haven't even. No. I'm doing the low hanging fruit here, and I just want to speak on it because Kyle said this a couple weeks ago, and now we're getting spoiled as Viking fans. having Randy Moss, having Chris Carter, having Adam Thielen, the great Diggs years, Jake Reed, all these guys, you really, I'm not saying we don't appreciate Justin Jefferson on this team, but yesterday he's the fastest to 6,000 yards, and he did it in 10 games fewer than Torrey Holt. I don't want to hear that bullshit about, there's only 14 games. He's missed almost an entire season, and he's still doing this.
Torrey Holt in the Hall of Fame because he should be.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
Is he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fans get a game ball. Yeah, the fans showed up. Great. That's a good point, Justin.
And I want to say, Jefferson still has 7 more games to add to that 5-season record that he's set. So who knows what that bar is going to be when he's done.
I think if this continues, and this is bold to say, not only can he be the leading Vikings receiver for yards, touchdowns maybe not, but yards for sure, he'll be in the conversation for the top 5 when he's done with his career. He's still so young. And he's so damn good. 81
so
yards.
Justin Thomas here says that the fans get the game ball. And I was actually talking to a nephew during this broadcast because we actually got it on TV here. I was telling him how good Vikings fans travel, and it's amazing. They packed, was it Nissan Stadium? Is that the one in Tennessee?
Yep.
They packed that place, and there was a lot of purple. A lot of skull chants and a lot of fun stuff going on in there.
I used to work at that airport, and a couple of my friends were there, and they said, "Where are you?" There's a lot of Viking fans here, so definitely to your point, there's a lot of that. And Nashville's not terribly far from Minnesota. That's fun. If I didn't have my son this weekend, I was definitely going to go to that game to visit my old city.
That's one of those places where I feel like if you're going to travel, you look at the city that you're going to, and what else can I do other than the football game? Going to Nashville is kind of
Dollywood.
I can make a weekend out of that one. You go to Green Bay. What else are you going to do in Green Bay?
Go to IHOP where the waitresses don't understand chicken and waffles. They don't get it.
That's because their palate is only made for cheese.
You guys like chicken and waffle sandwiches? Because I don't.
Sandwiches?
I'll tell you what you should do. This is a life hack. I found it up in D.C. 10 years ago. It's a place called Astro Donuts. Go there if you're ever in D.C., in the downtown area. You get a piece of fried chicken between a donut cut in half. It changed my life.
Cool.
That chicken and waffles made me think of that. It was I've never tasted something that was so damn good that I immediately walked back in and I bought another one. I was full, and I ate myself like – I had to shit really bad later, and I was like, oh, my God, my stomach hurts. It tasted so good. Just throw a little hot sauce on there. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, the gas stations up here, Adam, for like breakfast time. You get like your breakfast sandwiches, whatever. They have a waffle with piece of fried chicken in the middle.
Like a McGriddle, but with just little waffles instead of pancakes?
Yeah, yep.
That's funny.
I don't like those, but some people really do.
I'm a big fan of McGriddles.
It depends. As long as I can do my bacon, egg, and cheese, I don't care the delivery system in which it comes. McGriddle, croissant, biscuit.
I don't have the teeth for bagels anymore. I used to love a good bacon, egg, and cheese bagel.
It's a good choice.
Did you give your game ball?
Oh, Justin Jefferson. Sorry, yeah, we got sidetracked. Justin Jefferson is doing amazing things, even though this isn't like a standout game statistically for what he's achieved so far. Kind of went under the radar. The social media team was nice to bring it up, but he's an all-timer, and it's crazy to think he's only in his 5th season. He's already over 6,000 yards. So he'll get to 10,000 yards by season 8 probably, it's nuts. It's crazy to think. But we're watching a Hall of Famer right now. And
Jonathan, aren't you like in Texas or something? You've never had chicken and waffles? It is not dry. You got syrup, you got butter, you got all that kind of good stuff in there.
You gotta throw hot sauce on there too.
Yeah, you get all of your calories in one sandwich.
That's the only thing I don't appreciate. Is like I don't like stuff now that I'm older that makes me just bog down, which is a lot easier to do. Yeah, I gotta have something like I probably have to cut it in half and try it that way and just enjoy the moment. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. I'll start with that since I started it before I didn't get my game ball out. The secondary played terrible yesterday, and I really didn't like it because a lot of like Josh Metellus was the worst graded defensive player. Cam Bynum and Byron Murphy were down there too. Like they didn't play particularly well. And it sucks because I think they can play better. I'm not sure if it's just because how they were blitzing and stuff yesterday, depending on the coverage, but it overshadowed to me all these big chunk plays from a quarterback that's not very good. Like his resume and tape will tell you he's not very good. Made him look a lot better yesterday. It overshadowed what the front seven was doing because they were having a field day when they were getting to him yesterday. So, yeah.
It does kind of bring a little bit of concern that Caleb Williams is going to be able to look good against this Vikings defense, and I hope that's not the case.
The only thing that makes me feel good about this Bears game is he likes to ad-lib a lot. So as long as he doesn't just if I was the Bears coach this week, I would say, hey, look, you're going 1-2 and then you're running. Do not try to sit here and do hero ball because they will
I also
kill
like
you.
the Chicago's offensive line. I know they tried to beef it up a little bit, but they are still not good.
Yep. They let one of the
Speaking
linemen
of offensive
go.
line, though, wasn't it interesting that Dalton Reisner got a start on Sunday?
Yeah,
I
over
liked
top
it.
Ed Ingram. Yeah.
He did.
I like it. Of course, the pessimists were out on social media, and they're like, yeah, the run game already suffered one game in. I'm like, did Darnold stay upright? I don't care.
You didn't get that big upgrade in pass protection, but Ed Ingram is a good run blocker, and the fact that he was out, I think, did have a little bit of an impact on this game.
Yeah, because I was going to pick on the Vikings running backs for my donkey a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a bad performance.
Oh, it was
overall.
bad, but Aaron Jones have a total of 39 yards between rushing and receiving.
Yeah, I was going to say statistically, you're looking at 82 yards total between all of them. There was that.
And you're including Darnold in that, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm including
Yeah,
Sam Darnold in that as well, too.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, you got to fudge the numbers to make them look
Speedy
as good as you
Sam.
can, right? There was that exchange between Jones and Darnold. I think that was probably more on Aaron Jones.
That pitch was not quite right.
Yeah, something was off on that one.
And I thought it was amazing that next drive after they came back, they went right back to that pitch. They did it again.
Yeah, well, I guess you weren't expecting them to go right back to it.
They had the balls to do that play again.
Yep. I like Cam Akers. I think that he's a good running back. I don't know if I like him in as big of a role as what the Vikings are relying on him currently. We've talked about this.
Who are they going to put there?
They don't have any better options, Adam. I'm not saying that they do. This is one of those spots where next year the team has to kind of address that running back position again until they get more stability long term figured out for it. It really makes me.
Chandler was doing kick returns now.
Yeah, I seen that. It really makes me miss the days of like, hey, we got Adrian Peterson or we got Dalvin Cook, and that's our running back one, and we're set. We're set at that position.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've gotten the whole number one running back Adrian Peterson, Dalvin Cook days. We are entering that era now where teams do a lot better when they have a good running back one, and then a solid running back 1B or possibly 2A or however you wanted to label it.
That would be an interesting problem. How would that offense work if you plucked prime Adrian Peterson and stuck him on the Vikings right now? Like, how do you split carries? Not split carries, but like, how do you, between him and Jefferson, like, who gets more targets, who gets more carries? How do you figure that workload out?
Just let the defense pick how they want to die.
Yeah.
Even with Adrian Peterson, like looking back on his career, it wasn't like he's the guy who gets you 5 yards every time he gets the ball. It's push, give. Yeah. He's going to get you 2 or 3 hard ones right up the middle, and then he's going to break one. And it's like, I mean, it kind of we saw it in real time, throwing it back for the Adrian Peterson days where the defense would load the box, and that one time, just like that Kansas City play yesterday where they didn't have a spy on Josh Allen, that one time you had the mismatch, he's gone. And then the next series, your whole game plan changes. Like, well, we can't let that fucking happen again. And then you just have man coverage on Jefferson all day. It's like, good luck. Play action all day, man. That's what I'm thinking.
But I was expecting a bigger day from Aaron Jones here, which is why he was my
I was
donkey
too.
in this game.
Yep.
I also know that he was entering this game a little banged up. I know he wasn't on the final injury report, but he left that game last week and they monitored him closely and had some tests done. And sure, he was able to go, but he didn't quite look like himself. And, I like Cam Akers, but you can't rely on him to carry the game very far. And Ty Chandler ain't quite at what Minnesota averaged, like 2.5 yards a carry or something like that. It was not good.
2.5 yards per carry. Yep.
2.5. Surprisingly for the Titans yesterday, only 33 yards on the ground. Will Levis was
Bad
yesterday. Tony Pollard 9 for 15. God, that's terrible.
Yeah, he got nothing going. He was getting stopped in the backfield at times. That one play where Blake Cashman went all the way around and caught him by the ankle was beautiful.
I'm trying to recap some of this in my mind. I didn't know we're done with the rushing stats. Going to the receiving, I didn't realize that Addison had 8 targets yesterday. He only caught 3 balls, but he still had 61 yards. So I really wish that he was having last year's season now, but I guess that's the Justin Jefferson effect when he's on the field.
What happened to TJ Hawkinson? Pretty quiet game for him.
Very quiet.
True. 3 targets, 2 receptions for 13 yards. Josh Oliver's 3 for 3, the leading tight end and third receiver that day. Darnold
We've been saying a lot on the
right?
show, but Josh Oliver is really kind of separating himself. And I know a lot of people immediately when he got signed were like, oh, they overpaid for him. He's just a blocking tight end. Look what Josh Oliver can do when you give him opportunities. You pigeonholed him, and he's showing you that he can do a lot more than you think he can.
You guys will know when we say like a description of a player, like elite, you think of the greatest, whatever. When you think of Josh Oliver, what is he as a player? He's a solid tight end. Tight end.
Yeah.
And if that means he's number 2 on the team, obviously we think TJ Hawkinson is number 1, but I like him a lot. And like I've said plenty of times, and I'm proud of this analogy, I want my tier of players to look like stair steps. The guy at the very top is clearly 1, and the guy that's a little below him is clearly 2, clearly 3, and it goes down. There's levels to everything, right? That's a solid number 2 right behind TJ Hawkinson, and he stepped up a lot. I know this year might not like jump off the stat sheet, but he's come up clutch, man. Better or over expectation, I would say. So solid pickup, and I'm glad he's on the team.
I mean, for a tight end, like you said, tight end number 2 on the team, 216 yards and 3 touchdowns on the year for him.
But he is getting paid like a tight end 1, so I get why people would get a little frustrated by the money he's making.
Yeah.
But as we've said on the show, we ain't paying him.
Well, yeah, I'm not paying him, and we're also old school fans. We remember that tight ends are supposed to do more than just catch passes. Like a lot of newer fans are spoiled with the Travis Kelce's of the world, where all they are is a big wide receiver. And Minnesota actually asks their tight ends to be more of a traditional tight end out there on the field.
Remember how much praise Jimmy Graham used to get as a tight end for grabbing a lot of catches, scoring a lot of touchdowns? That man, I'm going to be a little rude to him. He was a very poor blocker.
That's very nice, Adam. That was very well said.
There's not very many Jim Kleinsaucers in the NFL anymore at the tight end position. You know what I mean?
You mean fullbacks that can catch?
Yeah.
Shout out Jim Kleinsaucer. That was one of the first Vikings I ever watched when I actually sat down to become a fan of this team. The fact that him and Adrian Peterson and Brett Favre and Jaron Allen were all on a team, that should tell you how long ago that was. That's crazy. Going down the defensive stats here, man, what a game from the defense. Even though the secondary struggled, Andrew Van Ginkel is a fucking monster. We mentioned Pat Green, Jonathan Grenard. He's consistent as they get. Blake Cashman, Ivan Pace. Looking here, 9 quarterback hits, 5 sacks on the quarterbacks, 2 passes defended, 10 tackles for loss yesterday from the defense. I mean, just an unreal day. The pressure.
And just a reminder for you fans that live in Minnesota, if you live near Buffalo Wild Wings and you go there kind of often, you can get yourself a free app if you go on the app and you get anytime the Vikings have 3 sacks in a game, you can get a free app.
Oh, that's good. What's your go-to app at the old Buffalo Wild Wings?
I, I was in Minnesota, so I went with the most Minnesota app, the Fried Pickles.
I love a good cheese curd.
Can't go wrong with that. But that's more of a Wisconsin thing, you know?
True. I'm eating on the show because I'm a professional.
So
I'm very
were you
hungry.
guys sad that Chicago's field goal to beat Green Bay was blocked?
Couldn't care less. Fuck both of them.
That's the
It
most
was the
honest
most
answer
Chicago
you'll
thing
get.
ever, though.
I think it's hilarious that Green Bay is still trolling them. I think it's funny. I'll tell you what, it's just from this one particular group, not taking away from what you're saying, Adam, just made me think of this. The Buffalo fans that are talking shit today, please calm your whole ass down. We've seen this story 17 times already in their short career. These Buffalo, and I gotta tell you, that might be the nastiest touchdown run of the year so far from Josh Allen.
That
Oh, yeah.
was video game shit. That was a good.
You know who
tough
he is?
run.
Josh Allen without like the down seasons. Josh Allen is Drew Brees in the way that he's playing like during the Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning era, and you're like, shit, man, he's really good. Like, can we just appreciate him for a little bit? He's awesome. But please follow your quarterback in his post-game press conference to say it's just week 11, like it's just a win. We got to do what we can because they did this before. Didn't they host? Yeah, they hosted last year. They hosted Kansas City last year. Until you beat them in the postseason, that doesn't mean shit. Don't celebrate your Super Bowl in week 11. That's all I'm saying.
Burrowhead Stadium.
Oh, my God.
Dude, though, Smith, I know what you mean. There's a couple quarterbacks that I really like and I really enjoy watching, but I've kind of gotten burnt on picking them as like, oh, maybe they're low-key, like, going to win the Super Bowl this year. Like, Buffalo, I don't know, man. And Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Like, every time I'm like, this is the year for Lamar. They're going to do it. They don't. So I'm not picking them anymore.
That happened yesterday. Excuse me. I don't care. I'm starving. I was supposed to eat like 2 hours ago.
Hey,
So-
you gotta eat. You gotta eat when you gotta eat.
But Lamar does that against Pittsburgh. If you look at the history, he's one of my buddies. Shout out to Jonathan. He's a diehard Steeler fan. He put it in his story yesterday on Instagram. The last like 10 meetings between the Steelers and the Ravens, they've all been by like 6 or fewer points.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those division games are unreal. And like to your point, Kyle, I guess what you made me think of was I think it was Cowherd today. He said, I don't understand why. He was talking to Drew Brees of all people. He's like, I don't understand why Baltimore loses their damn identity when they play this team. You have Derrick Henry, but you only ran the ball like 16 times. What are you doing? Run the ball.
Right.
Do that more. I don't understand that at all. But I know what you mean. Like, I guess the circumstance would have to show itself on who I would pick. Like, regular season, anyone can win. But in the postseason, if you put a gun to my head, I'm picking Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid every single time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, the AFC is definitely really interesting, but one cool thing with the AFC is that Minnesota completed their tour of the AFC South.
AFC South champions, baby.
Hang that banner. Hang it high.
Send us in Detroit the hats because we're keeping them. Hell, the whole NFC North might be AFC South champs minus Chicago.
You guys mentioned it. I think Smith mentioned it earlier in the show, but man, Detroit put on the hurt to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, this Detroit team is as
They're going to win the
legit.
Super Bowl. I'm calling it now.
They-
They are going to win the Super Bowl. Never thought I'd say that in my lifetime.
I know. I'm hesitant to speak it out loud, but they are.
If they aren't in the NFC Championship game, I'm gonna be surprised.
That would be an utter failure for this team because they're even better this year. And that's saying a lot with losing Aiden Hutchinson.
And you took the words right out of my mouth. They're having injuries that are starting to pile up that are like would end seasons for other teams. Aiden Hutchinson, at his position, top 10 player in the league.
100%.
And
he's
out.
already in a pool working out post-surgery. Already.
That's insane, dude.
Are you kidding me? Dude, superhuman, man. He's a hell of a player.
He's gonna come back strong. There's no doubt.
Well, I think that was cool. Not the injury. What happened in the
Yeah, I think that injury was really cool.
Yeah, the injury was awesome. Did you see his leg go the other way?
Kyle Smith.
They said, I believe it was in LA. And the injury itself didn't snap any like arteries, anything like that. It was a clean break, and one of the best surgeons in the country was there. And within 3 hours of it happening, he was in surgery. So it was just a circumstance of like that. It happened the way it was supposed to, even though it was unfortunate. No, we're not rooting for injuries on this podcast.
And meanwhile, Minnesota's having J.J. McCarthy get like back alley surgery, or he's got to have it done twice, and the rehab's going terrible, and he'll have Sam Bradford knees in 2 years because that's our luck.
Don't say it.
Well, let's get back to this game, and I want to talk about a really odd fact from this game. Do you guys know how many complete rushing touchdowns or first downs there were in this game between both teams? First
rushing
down
touchdowns.
Couldn't have been very many.
First down rushes.
Couldn't have been very many.
4.
8 between both teams.
Yeah,
that
man.
Sucks. Oh, that sucks so much. That makes me laugh. It sucks so bad. Oh,
nobody could run the ball in Minnesota. I don't know what got in them in the middle there, because I thought they were going to struggle a bit against the run, and they came out and they did their work very well.
You know what? We're dogging on them, but I think this is a little over expectation. They've already surpassed last year's win total. And a lot of people like myself.
Oh God, none of us had the team. None of us
had Minnesota at 8 or 9 wins on the season, and
I had them at 9-8 total as a good year, and they're going to win more than that. I don't know how much, but they're going to win more than 9 games. It's just, they've surpassed it. That's the positive you have to look at. There are holes on the team, and I don't like that they feel like they still, no matter the coach, the quarterback, the era, they still play a little down to the opponent. I do trust this team to play hard enough to figure it out. And you know how in years past, there would be some teams who are like, man, we got talent. We're young and we've got to figure it out. I have a feeling this team will figure it out because they've already went through some bumps where it's like, we had a turnover. We had a guy get injured. We had this, we had that. As long as Sam Darnold and Jefferson are good, I think this team they can do whatever they want as long as they play better.
So one thing I haven't heard talked about a lot is I think Sam Darnold had a really nice rebound from last week. Because last week he played some really scared football and did not make good decisions. And this week he came out and he was cautious enough to be cautious, but he also had no problem trying to push the ball down the field. And for him to do that, that's big for a guy like him. I know the headlines are going to go to, Jared Goff threw so many interceptions last week and he came out and put on a clinic this week. Yeah, Goff did. But do you know who else did? Sam Darnold.
He had 3 total touchdowns on the day. You can't discredit the legs, too, even though the one was a goal line stand. He's still helping the team put points on the board. I'm happy with Sam this week. And Kevin O'Connell, to your point, Adam, he said in the interview, I think halfway through, maybe right up to the second quarter or first quarter, whenever the sideline reporter talks to him, was like, it's fundamentals. And whoever did the pregame stuff with him. We went over strict fundamentals with Sam this week and said, all right, look, let's just do the basics. And if that's all you need is like, hey, I just need a little, like, not to dumb it down. That's a bad way to say it, but to just take a little bit of the pressure off. Let's do the simple shit all week and just drive that in the ground. I'm all for it because we said it at the beginning of the year. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over, the dude was a number 3 overall pick for a reason. He looked damn good at USC. The Jets and the Panthers are what they are. Like, I'm not going to blame him for that because those teams are crap. If he just doesn't turn the ball over, remember the first 5 weeks? You remember that one touchdown from the back of the end zone to Jefferson that was like from the 3-yard line? Dude can sling it. I just need him to not get so jittery sometimes. That's a one knock I have when he gets a little pressure and he's like, oh shit. It's like, find that calm, dude. Find that calm when the shit hits the fan and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah,
I also don't feel like Sam Darnold is in any position where he's in any threat at all to be replaced as Minnesota's starting quarterback. I don't think there's any heat on him, and that's something that Kirk Cousins had the whole time he was in Minnesota too. He had no threat of losing his starting job, and I think that's a comfort that Sam Darnold may possibly have never had.
Dives for first downs with a touchdown. Tua dives for first downs. That's not funny. I'm sorry. It is, though. I'm going to laugh at it.
I'm offended. I'm
You should-
offended. Here
you
we
should-
yeah,
you
I'm-
should
I'm-
cancel
Justin
me.
Fields got in that game for Pittsburgh and slid a yard short of the first down.
I felt bad for him. I'm a perpetual Justin Fields hater, and I felt really bad for him because that was a perfect play call.
Absolutely
to-
perfect.
We have to bring it up. We'll bring it up every time we talk about QB slides. Remember when the Vikings told you, Adam, you already know where I'm going.
I do,
When the
and
Vi-
I
when
laughed.
the-
I talked about this on the show because it made absolutely no sense. Why would you tell your quarterback that?
When the Vikings told Christian Ponder to slide head first. I love it. I love just how we set a bad quarterback up to fail even worse with coaching.
You know what? You know what the best part about that whole story, Kyle? They made in that one season what it takes you or me to make like for 3 years of working. It's crazy. Those coaches that did that, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
imagine the quarterback's coach being like, "Yeah, just get that extra inch, go forward." Like, what? Won't that give me a concussion? You'll be fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
That's
Don't
hilarious.
worry that in baseball we figured out sliding. We know how to slide in baseball, that you slide with your feet. Like, never mind that. Like, where you're gonna go head first.
I love this.
Yeah, I came right to the podcast, and me and West had a great back and forth about that. How that was just baffling.
I'm reading through the comments here. Jake, Dallas's coach, that's hilarious. Thank you for the updates. David says props to Kevin O'Connell for not playing it safe for once. I agree. Went for it on fourth down. I remember part of that. I don't remember the circumstance, but I do remember him going for it. Tommy, got to give you the shout out too. Sam is an athletic specimen. He is. That he is. We all laugh at Dallas, but we know they're getting 6 in at 10 primetime games. Yeah, it's weird that they would do that. That's the thing I don't understand about the NFL. If they like money so much, the way you get more money is more eyeballs, and people like to watch the good teams play. I don't want to watch. You don't want to give me those Thursday night Jacksonville, Tennessee games. Just change it with a Dallas team this year. Like, I don't care that they live in Texas and they have a big star on the side of their helmet. The Dak Prescott's not there and they're dog shit. Who cares?
Have they ever flexed a Thursday night game?
No. I'm saying what I was saying there is.
I know.
You're giving me a Thursday night game with the Dallas Cowboys this year. You're just giving me that Jacksonville.
Like a really bad matchup on the horizon. They can be like, nope, we're swapping that. Thursday, I don't think they can.
No, I don't think they can because that would affect rests in the previous week. But they're basically giving you with the Cowboys this year. You remember it seemed like every Thursday night game was just Tennessee at Jacksonville. They were all the Jets at the Colts, and you're like, this fucking sucks. I'm supposed to have good football tonight. At least one of these teams is supposed to be good.
Yeah, the Raiders were getting a lot of those games too, I remember.
Gross.
Are you ready for Blake Bortles? And the answer was no, I am not.
No, I'm not. I never will be. Ugh, gross.
So, in this game, Parker Romo missed a field goal. Are we concerned about Parker Romo?
I have him 1 of 1 on field goals, but he did miss that extra point.
It was an extra point he missed. My bad.
No, not. I'm expecting honestly a little more of the figuring it out. What I don't want, Adam, to your point, I don't want that long snapper to. When Kevin O'Connell mentions it in his post-game speech, that the fucking long snapper was a little like, oh, he's a little jittery. Calm that shit down right now.
Well, that long snapper is also a Pro Bowler, and he's 37 years old or something like that. He's got experience. He knows what he's doing.
47, Adam.
47.
Well,
in that locker room, when you're standing next to J.J. McCarthy, you're going to look elderly.
Yeah.
The way you said 37 and the way it hurt me inside, I'm like, shut up. 37 next year. It hurts, man.
In the NFL, 37 is old.
That's that old joke about baseball. It's like, oh, yeah, here's the oldest living player. It's like, it's a miracle he's even there. And it's like, he's 32 years old.
Yeah.
It's like a living artifact. Oh, that's great.
I know we're all talking about Harrison Smith's like he's so old, and what's he, 36?
Mm-hmm.
Wild. But yeah, Parker Romo missing that extra point. I was a little concerned at first, but he came back and he connected on everything else, so I felt pretty good about that. I know that he's just a placeholder because Will Reichert is going to take that over as soon as he's able to, but
correct.
I think Parker Romo is doing a good job in his place, and I don't mind a missed extra point here and there, especially if he connects on field goals.
I hope that he plays so well when Will Reichert comes back, he'll get looks with another team next year because I think it was great the way he worded it or the way it was said via the announcers and broadcasters through the interview. But when Will Reichard was limping, he was obviously not cheering for that, but he's telling his wife, he's like, God, I hope I get a phone call. You love to see that. That would be a great bounce back story.
Oh yeah.
I also hope that he makes a lot of extra points and field goals for us, because I don't need that in my life for the 17th year. Hey, everything's good, but the kicker sucks.
Been there, done that. Don't want to do that again.
Yeah, we got that T-shirt already. I don't need another one. All right.
He doesn't seem like a bad guy to have on speed dial for the Vikings, though.
That is true. I love that he got love last week too. As soon as he came in, obviously he won the game for us, but I love that he got the shout out from Kevin O'Connell. To your point, Adam, I think that's to be expected. Maybe an extra point here or there. Just make your field goals. Extra points I can live with. It is what it is. But make those field goals when you get close and you can't get a touchdown. Flooring and roofing is a young person's game. Yeah, no, thank you. I can't even I couldn't imagine people that play baseball how you sit in that squatting position for the catchers. How do you?
I don't even want to move again because I don't want to load the car up and unload it. So I'm out. I'm just gonna live here forever now. Sorry.
I'm gonna bring this up and we can wrap the show up. I know Kyle and I were kind of hoping to do a shorter show today.
That never works out.
It never works. Yeah, it never works. So give me
we got to dedicate 20 minutes to the Jets.
Well, to be fair, we were late. Made us late, and then we also were like, what were we talking about before? We were talking about movies and then food. That's
I think you were going to talk about the Titans having 91 penalty yards, was it?
Oh, I forgot about that. 91.
Yeah,
some of those were ticky-tack calls, and I would understand. You know what? I changed my mind. Justin Jefferson, sit down. I'm giving my game ball to the coach of the Titans yesterday for getting one of those flags. He was so pissed.
He was
so pissed. You got to keep your shit together, man. That's not good.
That's like I was saying, and I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that too. You got to earn your right to be that pissed off, head coach of the Tennessee Titans, that no one knows who you are. You gotta win some shit in the league before you can blow up on the officials that bad. Calm down.
Can we all understand that launching does not mean helmet to helmet contact?
Correct.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because there's a lot of fans that don't understand that.
Here's my ignorance as a fan, but I also know some verbiage to get by in a conversation to make it seem like I know what I'm talking about. That's who I am. It wasn't the helmet to helmet that I was okay with the flag being thrown. Is what constitutes him being a defenseless receiver? Because that's what it seemed like to me. I didn't look that up, but I'm thinking, well, he's going to catch the ball. How can he protect himself?
Right.
But let's be real. 15 years ago, there's no flag there, and there's a dead body on the field.
So. Well, I would actually need to see that play a lot closer because I'm curious if his helmet did hit the bottom of Addison's face mask.
I will say I do think they would have won this game regardless of some ticky-tack calls, but it is nice to see after 2 weeks in a row of Sam Darnold getting clubbed in the fucking face that the refs were on our side for once. I'm sure within the last 6 games that are coming up here that there will be some dumb – I'm sorry, 7 games. There will be some dumb calls that make us upset. But, yeah, that's nice. I'm giving my game ball to the head coach of the Titans. You made me think of that. That's amazing. So before we go, how are we feeling, guys? So the Vikings team
little gassy.
Yeah, definitely a little rumbly in my tummy now.
Not that kind of feeling.
No, this Vikings team has the chance to do something that hasn't been done before, which is win back-to-back, I think, road games. The Bears are tough. Soldier Field is a tough place for Minnesota always. So that will be a test. That defense is still good. But they are at the Bears. They host the Cardinals, host the Falcons, and host the Bears. So after this 3 road game stretch, they have 3 at home. I do think all of those teams are formidable.
And Vikings-Falcons could possibly be a future playoff matchup too.
Yep. So right now, as it stands, Detroit's going to run away with the 1 seed, which is unfortunate, which means the Vikings can only get a wild card spot. So they would either be visiting the Falcons, the winner of the NFC West, or possibly I don't think they'll visit the Eagles if the Eagles stay on top. They're number 2 right now. So it looks like they'll either be going to Arizona right now or to Atlanta, and they're going to play both of those teams back-to-back starting in December.
I'll take Atlanta.
I was explaining to my nephew, he's like, what seed would the Vikings be if the playoffs started right now? 2nd or 3rd? I'm like, no. Because it goes, the division winners get the top 4. So the best Minnesota can do if they don't win the division is 5th, which is kind of silly.
I'll bring it up for everyone and zoom out once it comes up so you guys can have a visual on the YouTube for YouTube listeners. So, yeah, I'm with you, Kyle. I think no one from the NFC West actually scares me as a fan. It's the Eagles. I don't like the Eagles. I'm still scarred from 2017.
I don't want to do that again.
I don't want to see them go to Philly. It's a tough place to play. But as it stands right now, they would go to Atlanta and play the Falcons. The Falcons they started out hot, man. They're really leveling out. They got the dog shit kicked out of them yesterday in Denver. And that is to a credit that Bo Nix and Sean Payton are kind of figuring it out there. Did not have them doing that well, but they got worked yesterday. The Cardinals being the 3 seed might be the biggest shock of the year so far. Actually, I don't know what they're doing that's great. They're 6-4.
Well, Seattle's falling apart. The Rams are surging, so they have a good chance of taking that back over.
And the 49ers too.
49ers are getting healthy, so who knows?
I don't believe in them, but that's just me. I'm going to present that to you and share the screen real quick. So you guys.
But isn't Netflix doing like a documentary on Brock Purdy or something like that?
I believe so, Adam. I did hear something about that. That'll be fun. I'll watch that.
That's funny. That is great. Here you go. I'll share it up on the screen really quick.
Speaking of Netflix, aren't they live streaming a game on Christmas for the NFL?
Yes,
because we all know how good Netflix live streaming is,
They are going to have 2 games, I believe, available on Christmas.
So we will.
And then they're going to start doing like live streaming for Monday Night Raw in the WWE, which I hope they get their stuff figured out.
Yeah, hopefully that goes better than.
So we'll leave out the 1 seeds right now. Right now we have the Chiefs and the Lions are their respective 1 seeds for each conference. So looking at it now, after Week 11 is about to be done tonight after the Cowboys lose to the Texans. Interesting matchups. What jumps out to you guys when you look at both of these? I really, right now, if the Packers went to the Cardinals, I think that'd be a great game. Divisional matchup in the NFC with the Eagles and the Commanders. That would be fun. Ravens Steelers would be really interesting. They just played. I think the Chargers would go into Houston and beat the Texans. The Chargers are playing really good right now. It's crazy to me that Jim Harbaugh got there with literally the same personnel. They added a really good right tackle and like a couple of good free agent additions, but they just got some guys. They just got some football guys, and they're just they're the 3rd best team in the league with point differential. Like
everyone was making fun of them for their draft class.
Yeah.
Like you said, just drafting guys, but man, Harbaugh knows how to coach. It knows how to coach in an alternative universe, man. Like he's coaching the Vikings right now, and you do kind of wonder what that looks like. Like I don't know.
I kind of want to watch Eagles Commanders.
I would love to see. I love when there's a 3rd divisional matchup, always, because it's usually chaos.
And the Commanders are an interesting and fun team. I didn't think they'd be that way this year, but they really are. And they went all in by trading for a corner at the trade deadline, and they are pushing their chips in on this rookie quarterback, and I get it, and I like it. Do it.
I think, to your point for the Commanders, Adam, I think if we're talking just regular football now and not just the Vikings, man, you got to give a shout out to that coaching staff too.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, that's a damn good duo.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn will get your defense right for sure, which their defense, in my opinion, wasn't the issue. You got to get the offense right. You have a Heisman Trophy winner that climbed his way through the college ranks and ended up in the SEC and won a Heisman with Cliff Kingsbury. Man, my favorite thing about that whole story for the Commanders, Scary Terry is finally going to get some love and respect that he needs instead of like dog shit coaching and dog shit quarterback play, because he had to put up with, no offense because he's our guy, with Taylor Heineke or what's the guy that they shipped to Seattle from there, Sam Howell.
Oh yeah.
And fucking Ron Rivera was there forever. Like, gross. What a yuck sandwich that was.
I don't want to see the Packers in the playoffs. As a Vikings fan, I don't want Minnesota to ever have to face Green Bay because that just is a bad situation, I think. I
True.
don't like that as a postseason matchup at all, considering Green Bay's youth and talent, and they've been developing players so well. I hate to give so many compliments to Green Bay, but they've done a great job with that franchise.
I can see it. I think the only team that I don't want to see the Vikings have to face are the Eagles. That would be unfortunate. I hate that city so much, and their fans are rednecks. But,
I mean, it is possible that Minnesota does drop down there in the rankings, but I mean, when I look at their schedule, I don't want to see say that I see a lot of games that are going to be losses, but there are some winnable ones, and there are some ones that are going to be really difficult. I mean, they face Green Bay again, they face Detroit again. There are some really challenging games on the schedule coming up for Minnesota.
I wish the Bears would have won. That's funny. It is funny seeing them get trolled. No, it won't happen. I'd love to see the Lions Vikings in the NFC Championship game. I would not, because I have a feeling that would be 2017 all over again. I think they would dog off the Vikings. But if that means they got within a game of a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, I'd give Kevin O'Connell Coach of the Year. I don't give a shit. I don't care what anybody else says.
Terrible Giants Vikings game, not the last one, but the one before that, the playoff game,
where they didn't score any points.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 43.
It was 3 points.
Oof.
It was bad.
Yeah. Commanders look decent. I agree, Tommy. I'll stop sharing that, but I figure we throw it up for the audience. We don't get the visual now. And I love these 3 little bubbles here. You can still see us. In the past, you couldn't see us when we put it up on the screen, but this is a good little setup we have.
It's actually pretty cool.
Fun. This is pretty cool. It'll change. Obviously, there's a lot of football left, but the Vikings have an interesting schedule coming up. So once they get past this last road game stretch, they're going to have 3 home games. They do go to Seattle during Christmas week, which they've not played well there, but that team doesn't really scare me like before.
No, Seattle isn't looking that good.
Really and truthfully, if we stop sharing and I'm looking at the schedule, the only game that really sucks for the rest of the year is the Cardinals are doing okay. I think they can win that game. The Lions last week is not fun because they are in Detroit. They do play the Packers again. It'll be interesting, but the Packers will be at home. So, interesting. I think this is a double-digit easily because you only have to win 2 more. I think this easily is a double-digit win team. How far? I dare say now, if we did mid-season adjustments, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Maybe we'll save that for next week. I want to say something now, but at that point, that's when the rails, completely go off. But I'll say it now. Fuck it, we're here. I think this is another 13-14, which is nuts. Which is nuts because I didn't have them there earlier in the year, but I'll give them 2 more shitty losses.
Well, that only means 5-2 for the rest of the season. That's not that unreasonable.
Yeah, 8-2 now. I think they'll drop 2 more. I think it's realistic. I think definitely they're not going to win all of the rest of the division games, whether that be a loss to the Packers or maybe Detroit rests their starters, and maybe they beat Detroit, they drop one to Green Bay. But there will be one in there where you're like, damn it, that was a trap game.
We haven't really talked about it in a while, and I know we're going long, so we'll just touch upon it very briefly at the end of the show. You notice you don't hear from the hardcore Kirk Cousins fans anymore that, this season was going to absolutely derail and it was just going to be terrible and we needed Kirk. You don't hear that narrative anymore. You really do.
To your point, Kyle, you know what it can be? It can be 2 things. You can move on and wish him well, and we can also be right that it was time to leave.
Yeah.
And have you noticed that Minnesota sports radio and announcers and media have all kind of shifted away from quarterback-based stuff? I mean, they're still saying, Sam Darnold stuff every once in a while, but I think Minnesota media is having a hard time figuring out what to pick at with this team and what fans are going to respond most to. Because right now, I don't think they have that rage bait that they really need.
Rage bait.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what it is.
you're 100% correct, Adam, because there was always that built-in narrative with Kirk
Kirk
about
was the easiest rage bait there was.
about the contract, or about maybe the lack of leadership skills, or even maybe you didn't prefer his religion. Like, there was always something that you could use for Kirk for why it doesn't fit. And we know that Darnold makes his mistakes on the field, but at the end of the day, it's a 1-year rental, and we all kind of believe, because we have to or we want to, in JJ McCarthy. So you can't really rage bait about Sam Darnold.
And what are you going to complain about? The pass rush? Because that's good.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is having a decent season.
I
Justin
would like-
Jefferson's setting records.
I would
TJ
like to
Hawkinson's back
see.
looking good.
It's only a very minor criticism. You'd like to see Justin Jefferson get in the end zone a little more than what he does, but that's not a real criticism.
I don't even do
of
that.
him.
You know what, Kyle?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the low hanging bullshit fruit here that I don't fully believe, but I'm gonna say it because it's fun to be dumb on the show. He got $35 million a year. I don't give a shit at this point. As long as they win, he should feel the exact same way. Hey,
But you know what I haven't done once this year is I have never tuned in to the vent line after a game to hear fans complain. And I used to do that every once in a while to hear people complain about Kirk Cousins, and I have not done it once this year.
Yeah. It is kind of a valid complaint about Justin Jefferson. Only 5 touchdowns so far on the season.
Sure.
But you're really just splitting hairs, because you know that he doesn't get worked up over it like Stephon Diggs. Like, I'm sure he wants those numbers to be higher, but we're winning, and I think he's okay with. I was a decoy in the end zone, and Jordan Addison got his, but we put 7 points on the board.
And I have no reason to believe that he is unhappy in any way. When he's playing, he looks like he's having an absolute blast.
I mean, I've seen him look pissed on the field after games when we've lost before, but
Yeah.
he's a competitive player. He wants to win. Like, I hope you're pissed off when the Vikings lose a football game. You should be.
I think as long as he's getting either the yards or the touchdowns, like last year was an anomaly because he wasn't on the field. Because I'm rounding up because it was so close. Jordan Addison basically had a 1,000-yard season and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's very rare to have both. You either have, remember Julio Jones would have all those yards every game and never got in the fucking end zone.
Yeah.
It was always like that. If that's what Justin Jefferson does, that for me, if I look at the stat sheet and I see he got 112 yards but no touchdowns, that means they got huge chunk plays and they probably won the game. Because most of Justin Jefferson's yards aren't garbage time yards. They're not. That's him beating coverage, and it's like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. That was really stupid on your part.
And see that one comeback / curl route where I don't really know how Justin Jefferson got open on that play. He had the defender glued to him, and the way he turned, I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a comeback or a curl or what it was supposed to be. But he did what he had to do to get open, and I was surprised he was able to do it.
He is so fundamentally sound.
Yep.
Like, he's not a big athletic freak. I mean, he's only 6'1", so he doesn't have like the huge, freakish athletic size where you're like, yeah, he's out there just overpowering corners. He's so fundamentally sound in his technique when he's out there on the field, and he can run absolutely every route on the tree to perfection. It's like, if no matter where you can find ways to scheme him open because of that.
And while we're talking about this, I need to give a little bit of credit to Jordan Addison, because I believe on that one touchdown play that he had with that reception, he cut in. He was supposed to go deeper on that play. You can tell the way it was drawn up. He saw the lack of defense there, and he went right where the open play was, and there was nobody there, and he just trod that in for a touchdown.
Just outran the safeties. It was amazing. It's incredible.
And I know that wasn't the way it was drawn up, because you can tell he kind of was starting to run out deeper, and he looked and he was like, oh.
You just got to find that soft spot in the middle of the field. That's the game.
And it helps
most of the time.
to continue my shitting on Kirk Cousins, because I feel like doing that at the end of the show, it helps that you have a quarterback who can go off script and like, hey, maybe you're not in the area that you're supposed to be, but you got yourself open. I can recognize that and throw you the ball instead of you're not where you're supposed to be. I'm not going to throw you the ball because I don't want to have an incomplete stat on the game today, Kirk Cousins.
He's kind of robotic that way, that if you aren't where he expects you to be, it's
He
not
wouldn't
probably not going to go well.
find you. Yeah.
Well, I'll chime in since you're doing it, Adam. You don't have to, but I'll tell you, if you get paid however much guaranteed $1 million a year, and it's fourth and whatever, and the game's on the line, if you check down, I wouldn't let you come back to the locker room to get any of your stuff. You can come back.
But if you're an actor, you got to stay on script, and that's what he basically is doing.
That's a good point.
That was one of my favorite qualities of Brett Favre, was just his ability to just improvise on the field.
Or take a risk. You know, at least once every 2 or 3 games, he's going to have a boneheaded, why did you throw it into double coverage, whatever. But at least there was the factor of, like, the original Minneapolis Miracle to Greg Lewis. Nobody else in the league was making that fucking throw.
No one.
And the way Kirk Cousins would fucking never, even the best throw of his career to Adam Thielen, it was clear that, like, oh shit, here's the mismatch. This is the safe option, but it is a big play. Like, he saw that the coverage was beat. To fit it in, I think, ironically enough, the only one that was ever like that was, again, to Adam Thielen that first year with the Packers on the right side of the end zone. He doesn't do that. That's my biggest knock on him. If you are going to check it down on fourth or whatever, the last play of the game, he did it in Atlanta this year. I'd be like, you can come get your shit tomorrow. Get your wife to Uber you home. Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's my number one. Like, I cannot live with that. You have to
talk about one more play before we sign off here. I want to talk about the fade to Justin Jefferson, because I know that a lot of people are like, oh, it's a 50-50 ball, it's worth throwing. And it wasn't really a 50-50 ball because it was thrown only where Jefferson would be able to get it. It was thrown a bit too far, but I get that they wanted to target their best player in the red zone and give him an opportunity. But it really felt like it wasn't a Minnesota Vikings play, Like, they aren't a fade type offense. That's not really what they do. So it felt out of character in the game.
That's a good point, Adam. Years past, like with the Kirk team, 100% they would do. I can think of 10 fade touchdowns that were thrown while he was there, but this team's not like that.
Yeah, it felt really odd in this game. Like it didn't quite belong.
This team's
all
not that
it was a bad play or anything. It was just odd.
I've learned that this year. Now that you're making me think about it, this team is all about crossing and spacing.
Yeah,
and finding that soft spot. And yeah, you're right. That's a great point, Adam. This is not a fade team.
It's not.
That's a good point.
And if you're going to throw a fade, I mean, I know Justin Jefferson can make spectacular catches, and he is, I was going to say arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, but let's just say he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. But he is not like the tallest, biggest target that you can throw a fade to, especially if he's got a corner on him that's got an inch or two of height or arm length on him. And I don't know. I just felt that was a really odd play in that situation.
I have to give a shout out to the secondary for the Titans. They were playing physical as shit yesterday. That's 2 weeks in a row. Secondaries are like, I don't give a fuck who's across from him. Jerry Rice, Justin Jefferson, Randy. We don't give a fuck. Bring them out. Like, they came to play. Granted, the calls went our way a little bit this week.
Speaking of Jerry Rice, I wanted to talk about how much I still love seeing that. What is it? Is it a Pepsi commercial where the players come out of retirement?
Yeah.
I like that one.
That's a lot of fun. Oh, man. Well, that'll do it, folks. If you like today's show, please like and subscribe. I always jump on and give a heart on Facebook, a like on the YouTube channel. Try to get into your algorithm. If you want to go a step further, if you like and subscribe, especially if you're on the YouTube app, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified when we're going to go live. We would greatly appreciate it. If you would like
tries to schedule these ahead of time so you guys can plan on being here. I know it's only maybe like 4 or 5 hours ahead of time sometimes, but we try.
We try. Usually I get it done a little quicker, but it's been an odd weekend. Felt off. I was surprised even yesterday. I was like, oh, it's football day.
Yeah, you can check out my work over on the Viking Age. My winners and losers from the game went up this morning, and I haven't gotten any pushback so far, so that's nice. Keep in mind, I do those just based on my observations. I don't go by like Pro Football Focus or anything like that. It's just how I see the game. So if you disagree with something I write, that's cool. Let's discuss it. You can talk to me on social media at MNVikingZombie, wherever you go. I saw Blue Sky is really exploding right now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say something must have happened on Twitter to piss everyone off.
I think I got like 120 new followers on Blue Sky or something last week.
Yeah, there's been a massive...
It's because of the election. People are not happy. They're like, fuck Twitter, we're not staying here. Oh, man. Sorry to bring that up. Adam, I'm on the Viking Age, and I'm clicking on your articles right now to help you out. So go check Adam out on the Viking Age, and check him out on social media.
And I always try to do, and I know it sounds like a boring article about who are the refs and announcers, but that's my article I have the most fun with every week, because I get to throw in a really weird fact about a referee. Nice. And like Clete Blakeman this week, who handled the game for the Vikings. Did you know that he has been the voice and the character model for the Madden video game since 2014?
No, I didn't know that.
I never would have known that without you, and I'm glad I do now.
Well, now you know.
That's amazing. Yeah, check out Adam at MN Viking Zombie. He's on all the social media platforms. Give him some love, y'all. This is how he makes a living.
Lots of cat pics on Instagram. Lots of weird puzzles on TikTok. I don't do the dances on TikTok. I'm not that guy yet.
You're not going to do the... I've seen a video of Jake Paul doing a dance. You're not going to do the dance like that, Adam?
Oh, my God. So this is the guy we got to tell our kids that beat Mike Tyson, and he's 10 years ago lip-syncing and dancing. What a time to be alive.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Vaguely Square. There's no lip-singing or dancing going on, but I do post about some other topics of interest, including Minnesota Vikings football. With the big influx of new people coming to the platform, more people are talking sports over there on Blue Sky. So that's
and I like when you talk about your movies, because you do give some insight on some pretty interesting movies ideas, and
I try
maybe not reviews, but just interesting tidbits from movies that you observe.
Yeah, I don't really like to do movie reviews. Here's my 4-star movie review of such and such thing. Like, that's not what I like to do. But here's my random
5-star review of The Substance.
Yeah.
I have opinions.
I know you do. That's why I picked that one.
Yeah, you know exactly where to punch to get me to say something. It started off so good, and then it just ended the worst fucking way a movie could end. Oh, I hate that movie so much. Oh.
I bought into that movie so hard, and then like it felt like someone else wrote the end, and I don't know.
That's a great way to put it. And what does that mean? Where it's like it's too damn high. I want to be like they went too damn far, too much. And it has the new girl, the young chick in it. She's amazing. I remember her from another movie, and obviously Demi Moore is awesome. But you have fucking Dennis Quaid too. You have good actors in this movie. Oh. Anyways, don't get me started. We'll be on here another 10 minutes. Shit. Go buy Kyle West Photography, kylewest84.pickfair.com. I am anxiously awaiting fall photos when you say you've uploaded a bunch of them. Definitely going to buy a print this year. And
I am working on it.
So do you take a lot of time like editing and coloring and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, it takes a while to do that. I had about 100 photos I needed to get through this year.
Because I got a friend that just retouched some of her daughter's graduation photos, and it took her a while, but they ended up looking really nice.
Yeah, that's the longest part, and for me, it's the least fun that I have doing it. I like going out and taking photos. Sitting on the computer for a bunch of time editing is not my idea of a fun time. No, I say that, but I do actually enjoy it because that is where your shot comes together.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get to see, hey, I made this really cool piece of artwork here. I'm really proud of this one. I really like it. So
it's not just I have a nice camera. Here's a picture from it.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
We'll have to talk offline, Kyle, because it's funny you say that. I went to England in July, and just yesterday, the photographer, we got it back. Shout out to my friends Simon and Shira. I've known Shira my whole life. She's an amazing human. They did a website for their wedding, and it was so cool. Like, you could navigate everything super easy.
Yeah.
It was really friendly. And we got an email back just now, yesterday. It's the middle of November, and this was the end of July. Hey, the photographer's finally done. And my first knee-jerk reaction is, damn, that took a long time. And then I went through, there's like 500 photos that they did.
Wow.
Yes,
like,
that's
never mind. That fucking sucks. And I'm surprised you got it done that fast.
Yeah.
that had to be awful to go through every one of those. And you got to think, to you guys' credit, that's only the ones that made it. There's probably quadruple more that was like, man,
you try not to do that. Like, the better you get at it, the more you're like, you understand, I got the shot, I move on. Because I've done that before where you're like, now I have 500 photos and 40 shots of the same tree, and now I have to decide which of the 39 to delete and which one to keep. Like, you just create extra work for yourself, right, on that front.
We'll talk about it offline. I just would love to hear your thoughts on that overall. Follow me on the social media platforms at NC Dog Dude. I am on Instagram the most. I do the Twitter machine, or X, whatever you call it. And I did recently get a Blue Sky, and I posted twice on there. That's right. Hot content coming at you.
On Blue Sky, I always do my New York Times games on there. I know people get tired of them, but I'm actually getting kind of a loyal following for doing the New York Times games on there. So, I mean, you can get people to talk about anything on there with you, whatever you're doing.
You know what you've inspired me to do, Adam? Because you talk about it sometimes. I have followed up now for 30 straight days on Duolingo. So,
yeah, I got a pretty good streak going on there.
I can't write anything down, and it takes me a while to process. But when I visually see this stuff, I can pick out the sentences now, and I'm like, am I learning a new language? Holy shit!
What are you rolling with? German?
Russian.
Oh, There you go.
Surprisingly, I'm sure it's like this with a lot of languages, though, but there's surprisingly a lot of the words that are exactly the fucking same. That's my kind of language to learn.
Well, once again, I want to thank everyone who joined us in chat, because you guys are fantastic. We love having you here, and I still can't believe how wonderful it is to be able to do this live streaming format and have you guys join in, because boy, this used to be a bit of a chore, and now it's actually fun to do this. So I look forward to this every week, talking football with the Kyles here and you guys in chat. It's a lot of fun, and I do look forward to it. So thank you for doing this for 585 shows. Hey, what happened there? Deer camp?
Oh, my bad. I meant to take the ticker off. I meant to take the ticker off of here, but I guess we can't do that. Oops.
So, yeah, thanks again. We'll be back next week. We'll talk about the game against the Chicago Bears, and hopefully we'll be in another kind of good mood. Fingers crossed. In the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.